All right, I'm gonna play a little bit more of this video, and yeah, let's play a little more of this video. Then Than is gonna preview his upcoming video because you guys met our super chat goal. So I'm gonna play a little bit more of this, and then we'll get to that.
Blasphemous. Navigating life being worried about trivial bullshit like this sucks the joy out of what should be just fun moments.
Yeah, and most Christians suffer from that.
Yeah. What
he's saying?
Do we lack joy? Are we sitting around in a panic mode or something like that? Oh my goodness!
He seems to think so.
Yeah, that's like, dude, if you're an atheist and you just sit around moaning and wailing about the meaninglessness of life all day long, going, why? There's no point. Why am I here? Why am I here? There are atheists like that, but you just, toss that out there like, that's what atheists are doing. And hey, wouldn't it be better if you just dropped all that and had purpose?
Right. Yeah, it's oversimplifying, and I see no evidence in sociological research that's the case. The Christians.
I mean, just imagine sitting around as an atheist all day, going, "What's the dorkiest tie I could possibly find?" I mean, imagine, why are all atheists like that?
So the ability to just enjoy the fun moments of life is something that is lost if you take Pascal up on his wager and become a Christian just in case it's true. Now, when we come back into his video, I will have inserted a super chat from later in their stream that serves to make a similar point to this, so I did want to address that here.
I'm fine if you want to answer in a different video. It is a sin to euthanize at old age, and as you're losing the ability to care for yourself if you don't have money or family to take care of you. That is an interesting argument. I totally see the logic in it, to die peacefully in old age. I think there needs to be moral justifications for it, though. Like, so you're like, you're on your last leg kind of thing, possibly. But I also do have some objections to it because I worry about the ramifications of that and how far that would go, how that's going to pragmatically play out in society. Like, we don't want to end up like what's kind of going on with Canada right now, where people are euthanizing because they're depressed, and there are companies forming to help you do it. That's a dystopian nightmare.
Or Soylent Green,
utilitarian kind of view.
So that's Soylent Green, yeah, I get what you mean, yeah.
Which I would kind of outright reject.
Yeah, and I think on virtue ethics, I would say there's still no reason you're not going to increase in virtue in those last few moments. Why deny that?
So there we go. This is actually way more important than anything I've discussed so far. Someone comes to the end of their life and they reach a point where medical assistance in dying seems to be a better option for them than to continue living in pain with no friends or family to care for them. And rather than just being a decision that has you looking at your actual life experience in the here and now, Christianity has people wondering if this would count as suicide, thus sending them to hell for not wanting to live in pain. Now,
Than, David, do you guys believe suicide necessarily sends you to hell?
No.
That is again him demonstrating.
That wasn't even the question we got asked.
Yeah,
the question we were asked is it a sin? You know what could be a synonym for the word sin here, guys? Is it wrong? Which is a question that atheists can ask themselves too.
Right. And the thing is that if you actually study, the sin that sends you to hell is not suicide, it's despair. This is taught in Anglicans, Lutherans, Orthodox Church places it as the 8th deadly sin. It's in the Catholic Church as well. It's despair. But mental health issues that can cause suicide don't necessarily send you to hell. The church the church has never made proclamations on who is in hell. They won't even say if Judas is in hell because we don't know. That's for God to judge. So this sweeping generalization you get from fundamentalism doesn't represent mainstream Christianity. And again, completely misses our point. We've never said suicide sends you to hell. This was actually a story from Martin Luther, is that there was a kid who committed suicide. He went and dug up the grave and because they buried him on the side of the road. And he was like, the kid had mental health issues. Reburied him in the church graveyard. Because he's like, this doesn't mean he's going to hell. Founder of Protestantism. I mean, come on. Like, it's just kind of an absurd misrepresentation. Yeah. Much more complicated issue. But again, you can even have the sin of despair and not necessarily even go to hell. The church does not make those kind of proclamations because the church is not the judge.
Now, the medical assistance and dying laws in Canada are by no means ideal. And yes, there have been situations where people have applied because of poverty rather than because of medical issues. But that's something that would be mitigated with a robust social safety net, which I think we should absolutely, beef that up a little. As to the companies forming, I have no idea what he's talking about there. Medical assistance in dying is something that you apply to the government for, and it takes place in hospitals. But
Yeah, so what I was actually thinking of was this video I saw. Did you guys see this video a couple years ago? Someone was
No.
actually, it was a
Probably not.
video of somebody who wanted to do this, to commit medical suicide. So let me just play this. This was actually played by a company called Simon's. Why is this?
Last breaths are sacred. When I imagine my final days, I see bubbles. I see the ocean. I see music. Even now, as I seek help to end my life, there is still so much beauty. You just have to be brave enough to see it.
Yeah, so she committed suicide with the help of the government, which is some of the most dystopian crap I've ever seen. But in terms of companies specifically, there are companies that are basically doing this. So here's one that I'm keeping in mind, they're working on suicide pods. Yeah, maker of suicide pod plans to launch in Switzerland. I didn't need to take that down. Put that up. Sometimes StreamYard gets kind of weird like that. Okay.
That is straight out of Soylent Green, except they eat them.
Right. Yeah. Like companies can benefit, and then they would be, trying to, if their goal is to sell suicide pods, they would benefit from more people getting in the suicide pods. Therefore, they would have an incentive to get more people in suicide pods. That's dystopian.
Yeah, if you, I mean, just think, if you are the maker of the suicide pod and that's your business ain't going to be booming if you sell 2 of those things, right?
Yeah.
Like you're in business to sell as many of those things as possible. It would be how you make money, right?
Right.
So in other words, it's like the drug companies at their worst. Like they actually benefit from people needing this stuff and misusing this stuff and getting addicted to pills and things like that.
Right. Yeah.
And they push it. Doctors, give more pain pills, give more pain pills, give more pain pills. And people get addicted, and eventually they can't get enough pain pills and they turn to heroin, and then they OD and stuff like this. And these are the guys getting them addicted and stuff. So don't act like this crap doesn't happen, guys.
Yeah, and it can happen if we start, normalizing suicide, like assisted suicide with the government. More companies would form that would have stock in the market that would increase based on the more people committing suicide, similar to what we see with like private prisons and the crap that comes with that. More people go to prison, the more their stock goes up, the more they benefit. Same thing with the medical stuff they were talking about. Same thing. Like there are ramifications of going down this path that I don't think a lot of secularists have actually considered, and those need to be taken into account. How far this goes. Just saying, well, we need a robust safety net isn't the solution, because government can be just as corrupt. I mean, like we're seeing, could you imagine if like the Groypers got power and assisted suicide was a norm already in a country when they got power? Like that'd be dystopian. I mean, like we got to be careful with the more we move away from Christian doctrines, the idea that life is sacred. And again, we live in a pretty good time where, like, I've had grandparents that have passed away. They didn't go in pain because now there's so much pain medication. You just give them a bunch of morphine. They die peacefully without assisted suicide. So there's a little bit more taking into this. It's not like there's not a lot of cases of people that are going to be dying like it was like 200, 300 years ago.
Yeah, and don't act like over time there wouldn't be more and more pressure on old people.
Yeah.
See, you're such a burden on society and your families. Why not end it peacefully? And that's the brave and honorable thing to do, so that you're not a burden. And on anyone with any sort of disease or disability or anything. You don't want to just be a burden on other people in society. So the good and noble thing for you to do is step into the suicide pod.
I was gonna say I'm not trying to make a slippery slope argument here, but this just seems like a pathway to eugenics.
Yeah, definitely. Indisputably.
Yeah. Now Vice Rhino does say in his video things like, well, I'm not so sure how far this could go. Like, he seems to be more in agreement with us. Like, he's not willing to say, yeah, suicide pods are great. Like, he's not saying that. I want to be very clear. He seems to be, but like, what's the same problem? Like, why can't we do that? Like, I'm confused about why
because
this
we
was an
think that
issue.
there's a God that is invested in the actions of the creatures he loves.
Yeah, it's what you don't want to be worried about that at the end of your like, dude, from an atheist perspective, why would you care what people are worried? What's it matter if someone's worried? Oh my goodness, you're gonna be worried before death. Why is that some big issue?
You're still gonna be you're still gonna be worried, even as an atheist.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could not be as an atheist, and you could not be as a Christian too. Like this is just oversimplifying. Like somehow if you remove theism, you're going to be less worried, and that's just oversimplifying.